One evening in late 2003, a 22-year-old man named Michael Bridges sat down in the stands of a professional hockey game in Calgary. Michael lived in a city called Brandon. For the last year, Michael's life had gone really badly. He was struggling financially, he'd gone through a recent terrible breakup, but then he'd won a sweepstakes and gotten an all-expenses-paid trip to Calgary for this hockey game. The stocky guy with a mustache and sat down right next to Michael, and he said, "I won this ticket in a sweepstakes." And Michael was like, "Dude, me too." As the hockey game ended, Brock asked Michael if he wanted to go together to a strip club. And as soon as they got there, Brock appeared to have a lot of money. Michael thanked Brock for making this such a fun night, and he said he really didn't want to leave and go back to his hometown of Brandon. Brock stopped and he's like, "I'm moving to Brandon for work. If you help me find an apartment, maybe I can repay the favor by helping you get some work." A couple of months later, Michael rode in the passenger seat of Brock's car when suddenly Brock's phone rang. Michael could tell right away that he was speaking to his boss. Brock had moved to Brandon and Michael had helped him find an apartment, and in exchange, Brock helped Michael find some work. Brock had asked Michael to start delivering these packages, but he warned Michael to never look inside of any of these packages. Michael just continued to sit quietly while he listened to Brock speak to his boss. Brock just said, "I'll take care of it right now." Brock pulled into this parking lot of the seedy hotel, marched over to the door of this motel, and began to knock. And there was this woman, and he watched as Brock punched this woman in the face. And then Brock calmly walked back to the car. "Don't tell anyone what you saw." 2 months later, Michael and Brock sat inside of a diner. Brock told Michael that what he wanted to do was introduce Michael to the boss, maybe give him a more managerial role. He needed to prove that he could be as cutthroat and brutal as Brock was. Before meeting Brock, something truly awful happened in Michael's life, and he told him about his past. Brock just said, "Okay, you're ready to meet the boss." The meeting with the boss was scheduled for a few days later. Michael showed up to this fancy hotel, and then the two of them walked upstairs to a particular hotel room. And Brock said, "Why don't you just run me through your story one more time before you meet the boss?" And went through his story one more time. There was a knock on the door, and when Michael looked outside, he knew immediately he had made a terrible mistake. It would turn out that sweepstakes that Michael had won, somebody had set that up just so Michael could meet Brock. Those packages that Michael was delivering, it was just packages that contained cooking flour. And that woman that Michael watched Brock beat up at the motel, she was acting, and so was Brock. Brock was an undercover officer running an elaborate sting to get Michael to confess to his crimes, while secret cameras inside of that hotel room recorded every single word he said. Michael's crime was murder. 2 years earlier, his girlfriend, Erin Chorney, had tried to break up with him. He attacked her, and then he drowned her in the bathtub. And so this was the story he told Brock. And so when they heard that knock on the door, he saw a whole bunch of police officers coming into the hotel room to arrest him. Erin's body was ultimately recovered from the dump site where Michael had left her, and she was given a proper burial. As for Michael, he was convicted of her murder and sentenced to life in prison.